On May 3rd, 2024, a murder was attempted. The critically and commercially acclaimed game Helldivers 2 was found dying on his Steam page. The culprit? The AAA game company Sony Group Corporation. The murder weapon? The PlayStation Network. An extremely well-coordinated maneuver, hitting the game from a cross-platform distance. The attack itself was simple, an obligation of creating a PSN account to play the game. A service, mind you, not available in every country. The consequence? Gamers all over the world were prohibited to play the game, thus cutting the game life support. Right now, the victim is still alive, and the removal of the PSN block seems to be successful, but the recovery is still uncertain. Helldivers 2 was a co-op game beloved by many, and called one of the most successful games of the year, said to bring back the good old days of co-op games in a AAA sphere. Only time will tell if the game will survive.
Hi, my name is Pedro, and I'm making a game. It's kind of like D&D, except this one, instead of being cooperative, it's competitive. The gist of the idea: create a system with the cinematic and narrative power of an RPG, and use that to make my friends want to kill each other. So, my initial plan was the following: research co-op and competitive games, mostly video games and board games, compare their mechanics, their qualities, and their design, so I could balance the best of both worlds. But while doing my research, after looking at a few stats, I realized something weird. While there are dozens and dozens of successful AAA competitive games, when we look at the co-op scene, things seem to change. While indie games have figured out a formula to make this type of games successful, the big studios just don't seem to be able to achieve the same magic. And it's not like they don't know how. If you look at the gaming scene just 12 years ago, you will notice how much co-op was an integral part of the industry. What happened? I mean, think about it. Think on how many AAA competitive games were released in the past 5 years or so. CSGO 2, Battlefield 2042, Apex Legends, Valorant, Mortal Kombat 1, Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, Tetris 99, Forza Horizons 5, League of Legends Wild Rift. We have 3 Call of Duty games, and don't get me started on the EA Sports games. Now, let's do the same for co-op, okay? So, we have It Takes Two, plenty of LEGO games, fantastic, Baldur's Gate 3, which, no words, Borderlands 3, which was a bit controversial, Anthem and Marvel Avengers, we had Redfall, and technically Overwatch 2, since that was the main selling point, but you know how that turned out. And we also had this thing.
Put it in me.
The scale is obviously tipped one side more than the other. Co-op games not only seem to be getting fewer in number, but also worse as time goes on. But why? It's not like people don't enjoy co-op games anymore. The indie scene, for example, has a lot of successful games. So why do AAA studios disappoint us so much? Games are coming out buggy, incomplete, boring, repetitive, feeling as if there is no effort put in. Why? Is it greed? I mean, it would be simple, right? A man in a suit at the top of their game, trying to climb more and more towards more powerful positions in the company. But honestly, I don't think it's greed. That word is used so much today, it almost lost its meaning. I think the people in suits who gain all the money are way above the decision-making process on whether a game will have cosmetics or loot boxes. No, the people who make the decisions are also workers. They also have salaries, and they're also at risk of losing their jobs by making the wrong decisions. Those people obviously are not trying to make a bad game. So no, I don't think greed is the right word. The word is fear. We all know the term games as service by now, or live service games. The idea of making a single game eternal, always having new things to do, always being updated, always making sure money comes in. It's not about lowering the effort, it's about lowering the risk. It's about making a game that keeps success coming no matter what. So they create microtransactions, skins, battle passes, loot boxes. Many genres of games are being remolded in order to accommodate those new business models. But there's one genre in which those mechanics fit like gloves. Maybe the most iconic style of co-op game. The mission is to take down the boss of a level, for example. You and your friends join forces to fight against hordes and hordes of enemies. As you kill, you get better gear, new weapons, new armors, new loot. Each enemy has a chance to drop a very rare weapon, and each time you see that rare weapon, your dopamine level goes up and up and up. And you do that over and over again just to get that sweet dopamine rush. But the thing is, in the past, even looter shooters were designed to end. When things start to feel repetitive, it was over. And it's because games were conscious of their finality that they were able to engage so many players. But if a game ends, if the income is over, then you have to start something new, and that involves taking a risk. And if you fail, what happens? You can lose your job, you can lose your credibility, you can lose years and years of hard work you've put on a single company. So why let this dopamine rush go to waste? So you move your focus, you put everything into marketing, invest millions on graphics, create many pre-order bonuses. Don't give them new games, just put the players in an infinite loop. They play, they gain, they keep playing, they get addicted. Not engaged, addicted. You cannot risk making an engaging mechanic. How can you be preoccupied with making an engaging mechanic when you have to care about presentation, particles, actors, IPs, money? Even though the reason they need so much money is to pay for that presentation, that marketing, those graphics, those particles, those actors, those IPs. When a company enters the money game, they play, they gain, they keep playing, and they get addicted. But the worst part is, I don't think co-op games can survive this change. Because while co-op games depend so much on the developers for the game to be good, competitive games, on the other hand, are so much easier to chain you. Instead of fighting monsters, robots, aliens, zombies, or whatever, you're fighting people. There is nothing more unpredictable than people. Co-op games just don't have that luxury. They are bound to be more risky, and game developers today do not like risk. So, how do we solve this? There are two games that I think are great examples of how to move away from this business model. Baldur's Gate 3 and It Takes Two, because they are, in actuality, single-player games, narrative-focused games, disguised as co-op games. A story that you normally experience alone with all of your friends around. Their interaction is part of the fun, and they do that by working with perspective. It Takes Two makes each player do a different task in each level, to the point where you can quite literally play an entirely different game if you just switch controllers. Meanwhile, Baldur's Gate 3 deals with perspective by giving the players an overabundance of choice. Depending on which player the NPC is talking, the story can drastically change. If your friend is playing an evil character and you're a good guy, don't let him talk to anyone, because the narrative will adapt.
You claim victory over the squirrel, though you're not sure why you were fighting to begin with.
It's a far deeper interaction with the world. So, in summary, there are 3 ways for a AAA company to go back at creating good co-op games. 1. Focus on gameplay rather than presentation. A game cannot hold on its own with graphics alone. 2. Make co-op games that take full advantage of the cooperative genre, making players interact with the world in different and impactful ways. 3. Let the game end. You need to take risk. Nothing is forever. In order to innovate, in order to create something new, in order to achieve true success, you have to put at least a bit of your ass on the line. Because if you don't, then you are once again back in the loop. Oh, and please bring couch co-op games back to life. I just want to invite some friends to hang out and smoke weed and fill our bellies with diet soda and play some Burnout Revenge for the PS2.